This is Kuala Lumpur. Skyscrapers, highways, a train that mostly arrives on time. But 170 years ago, this exact spot was a swamp. No towers, no roads, just mud, jungle, and approximately 10 trillion mosquitoes. So how did this become that? Grab a teh tarik. This is the story of how Malaysia's capital began, completely by accident. First, the name. In Malay, Kuala is the place where rivers meet, and Lumpur means mud. That's right, our capital city is literally named Muddy River Junction. That's like naming New York Wet Dirt and just going with it. But honestly, respect, no false advertising whatsoever. Our story properly begins in 1857. Raja Abdullah of Klang had heard there was tin upriver, and back then, tin was serious money. The whole world wanted it. So he sent 87 Chinese miners rowing up the Klang River, deep into the jungle. They rowed and rowed until the water got too shallow to row any further. And where did the boat stop? Right where the Klang and Gombak rivers meet. Yes, that muddy junction. They trekked inland to a place called Ampang, started digging, and jackpot, tin. But the jungle wasn't exactly welcoming. The heat, the swamps, and malaria hit the camp hard. And most of those first 87 pioneers never made it home. Being a pioneer back then was one of the most dangerous jobs on earth. And yet, more people came because that's the thing about hope. And also, to be fair, about tin money. A trading post sprouted right there at the river junction. Miners needed rice, tools, noodles, and somewhere to complain about the weather. Shopkeepers and traders arrived. Huts of wood and palm leaves popped up everywhere. Early KL was basically a cowboy town. Rough, rowdy, and slightly lawless. Just with more rain and better food, obviously. Now, enter the hero of our story. In 1854, a teenager named Yap Ah Loy arrived from China with basically nothing but the clothes that he was wearing. He worked in the mines, he traded pigs, he took every job nobody wanted, and he was good at all of them. By 31, this former penniless teenager had become Kapitan China, the headman of Kuala Lumpur itself, which sounds great except for one small problem. In the 1870s, a civil war over those tin mines tore through Selangor, and Kuala Lumpur was burned to the ground. Everything gone. Most people looked at the ashes and said, okay lah, time to move on. But Yap Ah Loy stood in front of the leaving crowd and basically said, we rebuild. He spent his own fortune, lent people money, hired workers, and convinced everyone that the town was worth saving. And slowly, Kuala Lumpur rose again. Then came 1881. A fire swept through the wooden town and burned it down again. And before the year was even over, a massive flood washed through whatever was left. Fire and flood in 1 year. At this point, most cities would take the hint. Kuala Lumpur did not take that hint. Instead, everyone got smart. New rule, no more wood and palm leaves. Build with brick and tile. Yap Ah Loy even opened his own brick kilns to supply the city. And the neighborhood where those bricks were made, it's still called Brickfields. Yes, the name was the receipt all along. From there, the muddy junction simply refused to stop growing. It became the capital of Selangor in 1880, then the capital of the Federated Malay States in 1896, and eventually the capital of an entire nation called Malaysia. And if you stand at Masjid Jamek today, you can still see the exact spot where it all began. Two rivers, one very muddy meeting point. So that's the secret of Kuala Lumpur. It wasn't really built on tin or even bricks. It was built by people too stubborn to give up. On a city burned twice, flooded once, and was named after mud. See you for the next story.